Hello and welcome to Big Speak. I'm your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia. In today's episode, we will cover the political and military aims of China, strategic, operational, and tactical plans to achieve the military aims. We'll also cover the Battle of Longsong, that is phase 2 of the campaign, and we'll also touch upon why both PLA and the People's Army of Vietnam were desperate to win the Battle of Lang Son. We'll also answer question of one of our viewers, Anuj Veer, who had asked us, though the major offensive was expected through Lang Son front, still the quantum of troops deployed in this sector is the least as compared to Cao Bang and Lokai front. What is the reason for the same? I'm sure all of you would appreciate the reason why 5 armies were deployed opposite Cao Bang. What was the political aim of China? China wanted to carry out a punitive action against Vietnam. In informal term, it is also expressed as teach Vietnam a lesson. However, the actual reasons were that Deng wanted to consolidate his own power in the country. Of course, he wanted to eliminate external vulnerabilities and reclaim influence in Southeast Asia. As I have been saying in the previous episodes, China considers Southeast Asia as its own backyard and does not appreciate interference from any other country. This political aim was converted to military aim, which was stated to be capture or threaten Hanoi, which is the capital of Vietnam. The military aim was to be achieved by following the strategy of striking vital parts of Vietnamese defense using overwhelming force and firepower. In the bargain, cut enemy defenses into pieces, thereby breaking its resistance and annihilation. The strategy led to an operational plan wherein the PLA leaders decided to have limited objectives so that rapid assaults can be carried out. That is why all the objectives were limited to border region. A quick withdrawal was planned before the Soviet Union intervenes into the battle. The operational plan led to a tactical plan where it translated to use of concentrated force, overwhelming use of artillery and armor before the assault, large-scale infantry assaults with adequate logistics support, and carry out scorched earth tactics. About the last point, I had spoken in the previous episode. I would request the viewers to watch EP 24, 23, and 16 to understand the entire gambit of 1979 Sino Vietnam War. Let's come on to Battle of Lang Son. Battle of Lang Son was do or die campaign for both Vietnam and China. The military objective of PLA was to seize Lang Son so as to achieve their overall military aim of either capturing or threatening Hanoi. 330,000 soldiers divided into 11 armies were deployed opposite Vietnamese border. The PLA had divided their attack along 3 avenues of approach to Hanoi. This was carried out in phase 1 and has already been covered in the previous episodes. To recap, 3 armies proceeded towards Lo Khoi on the Western Avenue, 5 armies to seize Cao Bang and isolate Lang Son along Central Approach, and 3 armies attacked Eastern Approach to seize key terrain features to facilitate capture of Lang Son. Please pay attention. In phase 1, it was all preparation to capture Lang Son in second phase. Before we proceed to examine the offensive plan of the PLA and also the defensive plan of the Vietnamese, have a look-see at the Google map of the area. As you see down below, there is Highway 1 going clockwise, Highway 1 Bravo. In the north-northeast is Highway 4 Alpha. Coming down is Highway 1 Alpha, and further to southeast is Highway 4 Bravo. This is how the approaches to Long Son exist. Let's look at the strategic importance of Long Son. Long Son is 18 kilometers south of Friendship Pass and 154 kilometers north of Hanoi. Highways 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo, 4 Alpha, and 4 Bravo, as well as railway line, all meet at Long Son. In fact, the railway line with a break of few meters goes right up to Nanking in China. 3 People's Army of Vietnam Division, consisting of 9,950 regular soldiers and few militia totaling up to 13,000, were defending Long Son. The ratio was 10:1 in favor of the PLA. But the Vietnamese had started the preparations in 1978 itself and created 20,000 field fortifications and 60 kilometers of trenches. All these defenses had proper camouflage. There were minefields which were laid, and number of obstacles also created to slow down the pace of attack on these defenses. The 5 approaches from north, east, south were all along the road. Mao's dictum was battle of quick decisions on external lines. Mao's thought on military war was that enemy defenses need to be isolated from all directions by undertaking wide flanking annular movements. Coming on to Long Son offensive, 55 Army attacked Long Son from north. The main aim was to deny supply or reinforcement from Cao Bang. 163 Div of 55 Army attacked along Highway 4 Alpha, whereas 164 Division of 55 Army was tasked to seize Dong Dang and thereafter move to Lang Son. 165 Div was reserve. This is how on Google image was the task of 55 Army. Also pay attention to task of 54 Alpha, which was ordered to carry out a wide flanking movement and proceed towards Ham Long. The aim was to block Highway 4 Alpha and isolate Dong Dang from Long Son. We'll talk about Vietnamese defense slightly later. Have a look at the map. 54 Army was tasked to block Highway 4 Alpha and thereafter isolate Dong Dang. 43 Army was given the task of cutting off any reinforcement coming from Highway 1 Alpha, which is the direct route from Hanoi to Long Son. 127 Division of 43 Army was to push through Chi Mai, cross Highway 4 Bravo and block 1 Alpha. To support 129 Div was to push through Chi Mai and assault Loc Bin, astride 4 Bravo and isolate Long Son. 128 Division of 43 Army was to be reserved to both 127 and 129 Div. Let's look at the commanders. As far as China is concerned, Battle of Longson was the responsibility of General Shi Shu, who was commander of Guangzhou military region, as well as commander of all PLA troops operating inside Vietnam. He was 73 years old and had an experience of fighting the Civil War, anti-Japanese war, carried out Long March. He was commander of Nanjing and Guangzhou military region. And he was member of Politburo Central Committee. Pay attention, he has no combat experience. He neither participated in Korean War nor in the war with India. On the other hand, the Vietnamese commander was Nguyen Do Thong, who was in his late 50s, and he had seen active combat against the US in South Vietnam, against South Korea. He was chief of staff for 3 Div and later commanded 3 Div against the US. Overall, he had 10 years of experience of commanding 3 Div in and around Lạng Sơn. As far as oversight is concerned, Chinese operations were supervised by Deng Xiaoping, who was chairman of Central Military Commission. The Vietnamese operations were under General Vo Gia Giap, who was the defense minister. The difference was that General Giap was a military leader, whereas Deng was a political commissar of the formations. He did not have the combat experience as General Giap had. Let's talk about how Vietnamese defended the area. 3 Div was responsible for defending Lang Son. 12 regiment, when we say regiment, it is equivalent to brigade in our case, which has 3 battalions. So 12 regiment of 3 Div was tasked to stop advance from Friendship Pass along Highway 4 Alpha. 141 regiment had to defend eastern and southeastern approaches to city of Lang Son. 2 regiment of 3 Div was to act as reserve and also defend Highway 1 Bravo and 1 Alpha coming from Hanoi to Lang Son. Few measures which were undertaken by Vietnam to ensure that PLA's offensive is stalled have been listed on this slide. Firstly, the Vietnamese were a bit surprised by the timing and the scale. Envelope attacks went well beyond what the Vietnamese had anticipated. The Vietnamese concluded that the main direction of Chinese attack was Dong Dang and Lang Son after a few days. They also appreciated that assault on Cao Bang by 2 additional PLA army was only a secondary front. Having identified the main thrust, Hanoi immediately improvised and resisted with might to delay the Chinese advance. Simultaneously, Hanoi appealed to Moscow to help as per the recently signed Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation. Though late, but Soviet did respond by sending military advisors to assist Vietnamese general staff in conducting operations. It was on 27th of February, 10 days after the war had started, that the Vietnamese decided that the second corps of Vietnamese army, which was operating in Cambodia, needs to be brought to the northern borders. 3 divisions of this corps were deployed between Hanoi and Lang Son. However, Beijing decided to withdraw on 5th of March and this corps did not participate in operations. What were Vietnamese plans to defend Hanoi? To top of the map, Cao Bang from the edge of this map is 140 kilometers. Similarly, Lang Son is 47 kilometers north of the edge of this map. Highway 1 connects Hanoi with Long Son, and Highway 3 connects Cao Bang to Hanoi. In order to come to Hanoi, there are two bridges, one at Sang Son and the other at Bac Ni. Vietnamese had very correctly appreciated that PLA would like to capture these bridges intact in case they want to threaten Hanoi. Pay attention to alignment of Cao River. All along this river, the Vietnamese had dug defenses. In the past also, Vietnamese had used Cao River as an effective obstacle against the Chinese army's offensive in the past. Now, these defenses are called Newgate defenses. This is very similar to the Chinese strategy of luring enemy deep inside own territory, thereby stretching its line of communications. Once the enemy is stretched, some vulnerability will be automatically created. The defensive forces should attack this vulnerability which has been created. As I had said, Cao River, which flows north of Bac Ninh and joins Red River Delta, has strong defensive potential. It was essential for the PLA to capture the two bridges which had indicated in the map to proceed towards Hanoi. To execute New Nugget strategy, the Vietnamese reconfigured and established 5th Corps in the military region 1, comprising of units that were at or near Lạng Sơn. The Chinese at Chi Mai and Dong Mo were targeted from Cao River. Now, very few troops were moved from Cambodia. Instead, Hanoi expanded its conscription campaign. All men between the age of 18 to 45 and women from 18 to 35 were eligible for service. And they were sent to camps which were established along Cao River defenses. However, as I had said, on 5th of March, the Chinese withdrew. But the Soviets in April-July 1979 refitted division of 1st Corps and other units with new equipment. This was in anticipation if the Chinese were to resume their attack, these vehicles would enable troops at high speed around the battlefield. The Soviets also provided advisors. With this, I have come to the end of today's episode. Keep working hard. I'll request you to like, share, and subscribe. Jai Hind.